The New York Jets travel to Pittsburgh on Sunday to face the Steelers in a game that's sure to get plenty of national attention. The Jets, of course, have been in the center of the media spotlight ever since they acquired quarterback Tim Tebow from the Denver Broncos this offseason. Tebow was used sparingly in the Jets' Week 1 win over the Buffalo Bills. I believe he only rushed 5 times for 11 yards, something like that. Of course, he wasn't really needed. Jets did hang 48 points on the Bills in that game. Mark Sanchez had an exceptional game, so the much-hyped Tebow Wildcat package was just an afterthought. Now, the last time Tebow faced the Pittsburgh Steelers was last year in the wild card round of the playoffs. Of course, that game is now infamous. Tebow putting forth a historic performance. That Steelers defense was number 1 in the league last year. Pass defense, total defense, scoring defense. Tim Tebow became the only player in NFL history to complete 5 passes of 30 or more yards and 3 passes of 50 or more yards in the same game. And again, he did that in a playoff game against the number 1 defense in the league. Also set a NFL playoff record for average for completion. So it was a historically great game on the part of Tebow. The game, it was a big upset. Nearly everybody expected the Steelers to win. They were favored by over a touchdown, even though that game was out in Denver. Steelers went back out to Denver this past week, lost to the Denver Broncos, now quarterbacked by Peyton Manning. That game had a lot different feel than their loss in the playoffs to Denver. The man responsible for that different feel was Peyton Manning himself. That Steelers defense did not look like the number 1 defense in the league last week, but it probably had more to do with Manning than it did the defense. Manning tends to make just about every defense look like that. And once he got his legs under him in the second half last week, it looked like same old Peyton Manning. Towards the end of the game, Steelers defense just could not stop that Denver Bronco offense. Denver scored on their last 4 possessions of that game en route to the victory. Now, no doubt the Steelers are trying to be getting back on track this week. New York Jets offense, Mark Sanchez will never be mistaken for Peyton Manning. This Jets offense will never be mistaken for what this Denver Broncos offense now is. So look for the Steelers to have more success this week than they did last week in limiting their opponent's offense. Now, the Steelers aren't the only team with a good defense out there. The Jets defense, perennial top 5 unit, did surrender 28 points to Buffalo last week, but that has a lot to do with the fact that that game was already decided midway in the third quarter. Jets rested some of their starters towards the end of that game. Be curious to see how they match up with the Steelers offense in this game that, hey, over the last couple of years, Steelers offense has evolved into a pass first, pass second, and pass third unit. And Todd Haley, the new offensive coordinator this year, it was thought that he was going to try to turn the Steelers back into more of a power running team. Really didn't see any evidence of that in Week 1. It looked like same old Pittsburgh Steelers offense that's going to rely on the arm of Ben Roethlisberger and those excellent wide receivers. Of course, that's not too bad to rely on. Roethlisberger can sling it around. Those wide receivers, including Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, really good group there. Big, tall, athletic group, can really run, can make some plays down the field, and they will pose the Jets a significant challenge. Now, Darrelle Revis, Jets' best cornerback, was questionable for this game with a mild concussion, but apparently he is now going to play. BETDAQ has installed the Steelers as a 6.5-point favorite in this game. Total's not out yet on BETDAQ, expecting that in a matter of hours. 41.5 the total in Vegas on this game. You can expect BETDAQ's total to be right there in that neighborhood, and I do not expect a high-scoring game here. Again, we have 2 good defenses, one in the Pittsburgh Steelers who will most definitely come out there feeling like they have something to prove. I do lean towards Pittsburgh in this game. Listen, I think Pittsburgh's a better team than the New York Jets. Pittsburgh is a great team after a loss. This is a tough team that responds well. They are 8-0 against the spread their last 8 games following a loss. They're a good home team to bet on, 8-3 against the spread, last 11 home games, last 11 games at Heinz Field. So I expect those trends to continue, and I do expect Pittsburgh to cover the 6.5 here. However, I will not be backing them. They burned me last week. Both of these teams produced unexpected results as far as I'm concerned last week. I was not expecting the Jets to score 48 against Buffalo, and I really thought the Steelers were going to go out there and play like they had something to prove after getting beat by Denver in the playoffs last year and beat the Denver Broncos. That did not happen. So when I look at what I expect to happen in this game, again, I lean towards Pittsburgh minus 7.5. Really, I'm solely basing that on last year. 100%. 100% basing that on what I saw last year. So that's not good enough for me. Not good enough for me to invest my money, risk my money, whatever way you want to put it, on 2 teams who looked in Week 1, different than I was expecting them to look, and I'm just thinking, well, we'll just say that didn't really count. We'll go based on last year's results. I think the Steelers are going to cover here. I'm not willing to bet on the Steelers covering here. Of course, if you're a Steeler fan or if you have more confidence in the Steelers than me, I'm sure you are willing to make that bet. If you are, BETDAQ is an excellent place to make it. Because right now, Pittsburgh minus 6.5 can be had at 213. That's right, 213 at BETDAQ right now. That's better than 1-to-1 on your money. Steelers minus 6.5. A lot of that has to do with the fact that some other places this line has fallen to 5.5 or even 5 in some places. The Jets getting some public love here. We'll see if that public love is warranted. Like I said, I have a feeling we're going to see a different Jets offense this week and a different Pittsburgh Steelers defense.